This recruit love Boots, sir, yes, sir. Boots is the gay marine TV show that we deserve. Boots is, I would say, honestly, one of the best TV shows that I've seen this year. I had high hopes when the teaser trailer that was all took place in the showers. That definitely piqued my interest. There's a lot of good shower scenes in this TV show. I laughed, I cried, I was horny. What more could you want? So Boots, the TV show, it's based on this book called The Pink Marine, which was written by this guy who was actually in the Marines. It's loosely based on his life. They decided to set the show in the 90s, right before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I think that it is the perfect time period. Somehow the show is just as relatable today, which is terrifying. But our hero in this, and he really is a bit of a hero to me, is Cameron Cope. He's an 18-year-old gay guy from a small town, and he really doesn't know what he's going to do with his life. And to be honest, an 18-year-old gay kid in 1990, there wasn't many examples of how you could live your life at that point, right? Like, Will and Grace didn't even hit the air for another 8 years. Like, there was just not much queer gay representation. Cameron doesn't know what to do with his life, and his very best friend in the world, a straight guy called Ray, is enlisting in the Marines. He comes from like a legacy military family. And so Cameron, without thinking it through fully, enlists in the Marines. I think he kind of has like a fantasy of what being in the military would really be like. And once they actually arrive there, the reality is very different. Okay, so the show starts with Cameron and Ray arriving at boot camp. We have this like amazing montage where, they're getting their like head shaved, they're getting their uniforms. Like, it is just a really good, quick, easy visual to show how you go in as like one person, and on day one they like strip you down to the bare bones. It also helps that honestly they all look really good with shaved heads, and I'm partial to a shaved head. Do you know what I mean? One thing that the show does really well is that fish out of water aspect, right? Like, we are kind of in Cameron's shoes. We are experiencing this with him, and I think instantly he kind of realizes I may have bitten off a little bit more than I could chew. Also, one of my favorite lines in the first episode is Ray, his friend, is like, did you not watch Full Metal Jacket to prepare yourself for this? And Cameron goes, no, I ended up watching Golden Girls instead. Like, I'm such a rose. And I'm like, that is such a clear, easy way to show what their dynamic is as friends. The dialogue is really good in this. We're introduced to this like cast of characters. You've got some that are like off the bat really homophobic and aggressive. You've got others who you're instantly endeared by and just are like, I don't know how they're going to survive this, just like Cameron. Every character feels unique and every character has their own thing going on. And it just goes to show that, when you look at this like platoon of Marines, everyone is so individual, different walks of life, different experiences, different problems, and different reasons for being there. And yet they're all being kind of broken down to be rebuilt. At the end of the first episode, we're introduced to their drill sergeant, Sergeant Sullivan. And I mean, instantly, I was like, I think this guy might be, you know, and I think that he instantly spots that in Cope as well. Boot camp kind of has these like stages that they have to pass, and like they have to pass each stage or they get cut and don't get to go to the next stage. So like every episode has this like mini arc within the broader arc of the whole show. A few things off the bat that I loved was that, we don't get to see the straight male, gay male best friend relationship very often. And if we do, it's typically that the gay character maybe has a crush on the straight character, or even that the straight character is secretly gay and they're going to end up together. This is not that. This is truly these are two friends that they've known each other since they were kids. They've grown up together. One is gay, one is straight. That is their dynamic. There's no yearning or crushes or anything. And I loved that because as someone who has had a lot of straight male friends in my life, like, you can even find a straight male attractive, right? And you can still be friends with them because you know that nothing's going to ever happen, and just appreciate the friendship for what it is. And I just really love that. And like Ray lets Cameron be himself and vice versa. And there's this really great device of when Cameron is kind of alone, his like inner queer self like appears and talks to him and they like have conversations together. So it's kind of like him in this, ultra masculine and very intense dramatic environment like in boot camp, and then his queer self basically being like, this isn't us, this isn't what we're meant to be doing, and trying to almost like talk him out of it. And it's like a little bit like, what does RuPaul say, our inner saboteur? Again, it's very queer, right, to have a hidden part of yourself that just wants to kind of peep out. And it's just really interesting seeing like all the different characters, like they all have their own things. Like there's one character that is overweight and his brother is also there at the boot camp, and they've had this really tumultuous relationship growing up because their dad was really abusive. There's this like this really cute guy who just got married and he is obsessed with his wife and he just is doing this because he wants to like make something of himself and go back to his wife. And as the show goes on as well, we get to learn more about them. Like we learn that Sullivan, their drill sergeant, like he is definitely, he's got some skeletons in his closet, among other things. And he's a very tortured character and he decides to take a lot of his own issues out on Cope and really targets him. And I've seen the actors talking in interviews, and the actor who played Sullivan said that, he basically sees himself in Cope and he wants to almost break him so that he leaves, so that he doesn't have to go through what he's gone through. But Cope isn't him, right? Like Cope is his own person and he's going to figure it out himself. There's one particular episode where they go through like tear gas training. And in that episode, like Cope really, really proves just how much he is willing to fight for his place here and prove that he deserves to be here just as much as the next person. As the series goes on, each of the boys really starts to figure themselves out, to prove themselves, and tensions flare, right? Like Cameron and his best friend Ray, like they end up having a big fight during this. And, it just shows that they're in this pressure cooker. But I think what's interesting about them as well is that they've known each other for so long. They know each other so well that being put in this environment and figuring themselves out in real time alongside each other, they're also realizing that maybe they don't need to keep playing the same roles that they've played in that relationship forever. Like maybe Cope can stand on his own 2 feet more, and Ray doesn't have to look out for him. And maybe Ray also doesn't have to be so perfect all the time and he can make mistakes, and that's okay. There's one episode that is truly heartbreaking. And, I won't reveal anything, I won't spoil it, but God, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I just think they handled it beautifully, and it just showed as well, like, how are these boys going to cope with really, really bad things happening to them around them? I will admit it, I shed a little tear for sure. And I love when a show can do that, right? That you can be like crying 1 minute and then laughing the next. And balancing that tone well is very difficult, but this show nails it. Towards the end of the series, a new character is introduced that really shakes things up for Cameron and also with Sullivan. And there kind of becomes a little bit of a triangle. Not, I wouldn't say a romantic triangle, but just the dynamics between the three characters is just really interesting, really juicy, and really changes the trajectory of Cope's experience in boot camp. I also just loved seeing a gay man push himself beyond what he thought his limits can be. I think as gay people, especially like young gay men, like I definitely at 18 years old, I didn't think that I could do a lot of the things that I wanted to do just because I spent a lot of my time shrinking myself to hide. And when you do that, you don't believe in yourself like you should. And that can have a really damaging effect on you. And I think, we're all trying to figure ourselves out at 18. And I love the fact that this character is taking these huge risks and trying to figure that out in real time. And while he's doing that, he's realizing that he is stronger and more capable than he ever imagined that he could be. And I think, like, as gay people, we need to see that, right? Like, they always say, like, representation matters, but I do think it matters. And, the more stories we tell, the more layered and the more interesting and the more honest it's going to be. And so I genuinely don't feel like I have seen a character like Cope in a TV show before. Like if I was 18 in 1990 and I saw Cope on my TV screen, that would have been life changing, you know? I hope he really is like a beacon of hope for any young queer person, any young gay man kind of coming up and realizing that I actually can do whatever I want to do, despite what maybe other people have said about me and what, because of that, I've told myself. We also get to see the flip side of that, right? That the character of Sullivan is very much in the closet, and that just goes to show the dark impact that hiding yourself can have on somebody. You know, that can really, really break somebody. It can cause a lot of damage, and damaged people tend to cause harm to other people, right? Because they're trying to take that out on somebody else. And again, we get to see that, but in a very interesting way, again, that we haven't really seen before. This is not a storyline that has been told a lot. And more than anything, honestly, like I just love this idea of like gay resilience with mixed with gay joy and gay intelligence. Like Cope is smart, he is tenacious, but he's funny as well. Like him and Ray, the reason they have such a good friendship is because they make each other laugh, they enjoy each other's company. And a lot of people like Cope, right? Like I think at first, some people are a little bit hesitant about his femininity, shall we say? But he wins people over. And I think that's also just a really nice thing to keep in mind is that, I think we sometimes have ideas of who's going to like us and who's not, but we can always be very surprised in life. And sometimes the people you do not think you're going to have a relationship with, you can actually end up having one of the most meaning or impactful relationships you've ever had in your life with. Okay, so slight spoilers now. If you don't want to know how it ends, please do not listen to this. Skip ahead a little bit. But basically, at the end of the season, they've all graduated. They are Marines now. They're no longer recruits. They're celebrating, and then on the news, it comes up that the Gulf War basically has started, and we just get this kind of chilling shot. Oh, I just got like a little bit of a like a chill run through me then. But this like chilling shot of them all kind of noticing the TV and seeing this and realizing that okay, we got to the end of boot camp, but really this is just the beginning. And I think the true reality of what lies ahead for them sinks it in. You can see it in their faces. The performances in this show are so good. Miles Heizer, I actually do not know this guy very well. He's a perfect leading man, especially for this. And I'm so glad that they cast a gay actor, but not just because he's a gay actor, but because he's like a clearly gay actor. Like I am a little bit bored of seeing straight actors embody gay roles, not because they're straight, more so just because, you know, I think maybe are they worried about becoming a little bit feminine that might seem as if they're like pandering or insulting, but there's just always a little something that's missing for me. And here it just felt really authentic because it is, right? Like he can bring himself to the character, but then all the other guys, like, oh my God, this cast is amazing. And we get to see them in either very tight clothes or sometimes very little clothes. And as I said, like, this show is so much more than that. It's got heart, it's got grit, but it doesn't hurt that it's set amongst a load of really hot Marines. Do you know what I mean? A lot of it is very homoerotic, but my prediction is I would love for season two to pick up with them being trained to go into war, to go and fight in the Gulf War. And I think that you could do an entire season of that and then almost end season two with them actually going off to war. I really want to see the characters together though still. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. I don't know if that's realistic that the characters would all kind of stay together or whether they'd be shipped off to different places. But I really, really want to see those dynamics again. Like I've been thinking about this a lot since I watched it. I genuinely think it's one of the best TV shows this year, and I really believe that it deserves a season two. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Miles Heizer gets a few nominations for this. And if he doesn't, I don't want to be that person, but I'm a little bit like, if he doesn't, Is it because people don't get the performance because it's gay? And I think again, like if you're a younger person and you don't know about this era and about like, gays in the military and all that kind of thing, like it's a bit of a history lesson too. Like I think it's really worth watching because it will open some people's eyes for sure. So we've got Hot Marines, great drama, loads of really funny comedy and amazing characters with a lead performance that melts your heart. What are you waiting for? Please go and watch it. Let me know who's your favorite character. What did you like about it? Is there anything you didn't like about it? And what are your ideas for season two, too? Like, I really, really want to know what people are thinking about this show. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else that you want me to talk about.